Hello everybody, I hope you're all well. What the hell are blueberry milk nails? They are the latest sort of beauty trend which has taken TikTok by storm, but almost like for like the wrong reasons. But according to Vogue, the blueberry milk nails trend is a creamy, powdery, sheer blue shade, often applied over a beige, pearlescent or white base. Flatters every skin tone. Now, I actually did not do this intentionally, but I have blueberry milk nails on today, guys. Upon first appearance, this seems like just another like TikTok beauty trend or like beauty fad. But this blueberry milk nails trend really, I don't know whether rubbed people up the wrong way is the right way to describe it, but it definitely sparked a critical conversation about these very fleeting TikTok beauty trends with like the romanticized names. So blueberry milk nails, latte makeup, glazed donut nails, glazed brownie lips, which tend to blow up seemingly out of nowhere and then are very quickly forgotten in the space of just a couple of weeks. And as I said earlier, they often have very romanticized names, but they're essentially repackaged trends into sort of romanticized names or even aesthetics, but they are sold to you as something new and like exciting. I think everyone has one of these trends where they were like, oh, come on. Like for me, it was the latte makeup. Now, don't get me wrong. Everyone that's doing the latte makeup looks gorgeous, but this is just soft glam. Like what are we, latte makeup? And I think something which sparks a lot of people's interest and maybe irritates people a little bit is that these trends seemingly come out of nowhere. They seem to have a very unnatural come up. Like before you know it, the blueberry milk nails hashtag has like millions of views on TikTok. Magazine outlets are covering the trend. Your favorite influencers are trying it out and making TikToks and posts about it. And then all within, I'm not even joking, about a week, it's all dropped. And it never gets spoken about again. And I don't know about you guys, but it all just feels a little bit weird. I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. Like what comes first, the trend on TikTok or the online article about the TikTok trend? Does the online article feed into like the TikTok trend hype, or is it the other way round? And if these trends are like created by regular people like me and you, TikTok users, then why do they feel so manufactured every single time? Like they feel like they've been planted by the beauty industry to sell light blue nail polish. So not only did I want to talk about that in today's video, but I also wanted to talk about overconsumption in the beauty industry. I have touched a little bit about overconsumption in the beauty industry in my video that I made over a year ago about excessive makeup collections of the 2010s. That's on my channel if you guys want to check it out. I'll leave it linked below. I also talk a lot about overconsumption in terms of the fashion industry because that's what I'm into. I love fashion, but I especially think with like the increased interest in de-influencing, also more and more social media apps implementing shopping features and basically becoming shopping apps like Instagram Shop Tab, like TikTok Shop. I definitely think it's time to talk about makeup overconsumption and overconsumption in the beauty industry. So yeah, let's get into it, and please ignore the fact that my face is a different color to my chest. I'm wearing my summer foundation, but I haven't quite reached my summer shade. So I'm going on holiday next week. My next video, I'll be looking nice and tan. So I've already explained what blueberry milk nails are, but the baby blue nail trend already has racked up over 2.1 million views on TikTok, and Brits' Google searches for blueberry milk nails have had an uptick of 350% in the last 7 days. And to be fair, it's probably a 350% increase from like 0 people searching it, because who the hell is Googling blueberry milk nails before a couple of weeks ago? There have been a few really great TikToks made about the blueberry milk nails controversy. I will play those both now, and I will also leave them linked down below.
America is having an individuality crisis. It's a crisis because blueberry milk nails are not a thing. They're light blue nails.
So if you don't know, blueberry milk nails are kind of a manufactured trend that people on TikTok have started recognizing is just kind of a marketing scheme to name something that's been around for a long time, something cute and trendy.
I love these takes of like these very frivolous beauty trends on TikTok and aesthetics as well are sort of leading people to have a little bit of an identity crisis. Like, how are we supposed to know what we actually like when we are constantly being told what to like? Every week there is a new beauty trend to follow, there is a new aesthetic to follow, and TikTok is where young people congregate. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was in my teen years, when I was in my early 20s, I was so lost with who I was, and I was so desperate to have some sort of form of identity because I just felt so lost and so all over the place. You are so desperate to form some kind of identity, to find your people. And Mina Lay mentioned this in her video about aesthetics and subcultures, but these TikTok aesthetics like tomato girl, coastal cowgirl, cottagecore, quiet luxury, they sort of remind me a lot of like personality quizzes of the 2000s and the 2010s, like finding out what Hogwarts house you're in, what type of friend am I, also the MBTI personality quiz. I actually like that quiz, and I am an ENFP if anyone is interested. I also think that's why young people are so often drawn to astrology, because I'm not trying to invalidate astrology at all, but a lot of like very basic level astrology is basically they're being told what kind of person you are based on your birth chart. And I think it's nice to be told things about yourself because it sort of helps you discover who you are. And I think that that can be very comforting for some people, like the basic level astrology of being told, oh, you're a Scorpio, so you're really passionate. And it isn't to say that all aesthetic communities promote overconsumption. I think there are probably plenty of aesthetic communities that really emphasize the community part of the aesthetic. I'm just talking more about like the really frivolous TikTok aesthetics and the beauty trends. Vaishnavi told Mashable, who I put one of her TikToks in earlier, told Mashable that she wasn't trying to knock people who are into following aesthetics and trends, and neither am I in this video. On first appearance, following aesthetics and trends, it can be pretty harmless, and it can be harmless, but I think the problems come in when these aesthetics and trends move at such a breakneck pace, and we begin to overconsume, and no matter how much we consume, we feel really unsatisfied still. To directly quote Vaishnavi for Mashable, she explains that her video wasn't to knock down people participating in trends, but to unpack the more draining and wasteful side of keeping up with trends. We all want to align to something. I know I do. My video was more so to discourage the rapid overconsumption and promote contentment and self-expression. When trends are so fickle, keeping up with them can be hard, expensive, and ultimately wasteful, especially for young people who are easily influenced. I honestly think the more we consume, the more lost we become. And I think a lot of young people are sold a dream on social media that once you assimilate to this particular trendy aesthetic, that you will feel satisfied, you will feel whole, you will find yourself. And with these very frivolous aesthetics, unfortunately, that's not always the case. And especially with how fast these trends come and go, a lot of people will just end up chasing the new shiny trend and aesthetic, you know, for sort of that little dopamine boost. And this isn't me criticizing people that do that. I've done it in the past. I probably still do it, you know? And this isn't to say that you can't play around with your style and your makeup. I think it just becomes exasperating when more and more social media apps are becoming shopping apps. But we're going to talk more about my beef with TikTok Shop later in this video. Don't worry. But something which I thought would be interesting to focus on is where the hell these trends come from. Why do they have such a rapid rise and fall? Like you blink and they're gone. And they have such a fast come up that they feel manufactured, even though a majority of the time they're not. I just want to say right now that I am just theorizing, okay? I'm just theorizing, guys. But In my theories, I don't think that these trends were planted by the beauty industry to sell us products. I do think that the beauty industry jumps on these trends to sell products, but I don't think that they're industry plant trends. I do think that they probably come about fairly naturally, in a sense where maybe a non-professional TikTok trend forecaster sees that the it girls, celebrities, influencers, maybe Hailey Bieber, Sophia Richie, Dua Lipa, Kylie Jenner, are all wearing the same baby blue nail polish. Me, I'm wearing the baby blue nail polish. I'm one of the it girls that they're talking about. They're all wearing the same baby blue nail polish, and they decide to coin a memorable and romanticized name for this new trend, like blueberry milk nails. Their TikTok does well because not only is the name really eye-catching and memorable, but also it features celebrities and influencers who are really popular. Other TikTok trend forecasters will jump on the trend and start reporting it because they see that the hashtag is getting a lot of views. And this is usually when influencers jump on the trend and they decide to make a TikTok or a reel or an Instagram story of them getting a blueberry milk nails manicure, because once again, the hashtag is getting a lot of views and it's trending. And then the news outlets / online magazines will then begin to write articles about the trend because they want to get them clicks. They want to keep their advertisers happy. And this is sort of typically when I guess it sort of trickles down to the general public, or I would say that the general public and the magazines and online news outlets usually clock on at the same time. But basically the general public are then influenced to get a blueberry milk nails manicure because there's seemingly TikToks, reels, articles everywhere about this new beauty trend. And they also like the way it looks. How cute do my nails look? And by the way, this like trend inception to TikTok trend forecaster, to TikTok influencer, to online magazine, general public, it all happens really quickly. Like I would say that this all happens within the space of about a week. And one thing I have learned with being a YouTuber and being in the influencer space, having friends who are influencers, is that influencers have got to get on them hashtags early if you want to get them views, especially because these trends are usually so fleeting, and things like views, engagement, follower growth is income for a lot of influencers, and they have to pay their bills at the end of the day. I think something which like really rubbed people up the wrong way about blueberry milk nails is that this is nothing new. Like light blue nails for the summer, groundbreaking. It literally happens every year. I have never known a time where light blue nails are out of style. And to quote the digital fairy, blueberry milk nails seem to lift the veil on the long-standing marketing mechanism of rebranding an existing product with a name that speaks more neatly to a current cultural mood. And to quote Mashable again, the backlash against blueberry milk nails seems to converge with this movement, and at least this sort of thinking. It's also a comment on the commercialization and superfluous branding of even the most nondescript products and historically present ways of dressing. Romanticized phrases, latte makeup, coastal cowgirl, glazed donut nails render everything a conscious, tangible aesthetic. There seems to be a collective exasperation over this pattern. And I also think something which really like rubs people up the wrong way about these really frivolous and fleeting TikTok trends and aesthetics is that not all of the time, but a lot of the time, you have to consume in some way to assimilate to this trend or aesthetic. And I think in the age of social media, it's so much easier. It's easier than it's ever been to buy stuff, to fit into a specific aesthetic or to follow a specific beauty trend. You can buy a cottagecore dress on Amazon and it'll arrive the next day. You can order a glazed donut nail polish on TikTok Shop. So much of our identities are interwoven with what we consume. And I think that can just be a little bit exhausting. And I think people are beginning to clock on to how unachievable it is to follow every single latest beauty trend, latest trending aesthetic. Just because our favorite influencers are doing it doesn't mean that we are capable of doing it. I actually mentioned this in my podcast episode that I made about de-influencing, Voice Notes with Theresa, if you don't listen to my podcast, where I essentially said that we can never consume on the same rate as influencers because it's influencers' jobs to consume. So much of the products that influencers get, first of all, they get them for free. Second of all, they're being paid to use them. Third of all, they can write so much of the stuff that they buy off as a business expense. So it truly is not possible for a regular person to consume on the same rate as an influencer. And also I wanted to quickly touch on the trend of romanticizing your life. Now, don't get me wrong. I love this. I think it's fun. I think it's cute. I think it's wholesome. I think it's good vibes. But one thing I will say is that I do think that romanticizing your life can come with a small pressure to make every single aspect of your life aesthetically pleasing and Instagrammable. And I think that that can lead us to buy unnecessary things. Like, and I'm looking at myself here. Like, I bought a mug, like a Scorpio mug. It's so cute because I'm like, oh my God, that's so cute. Like, fun vibes. I already own like 6 mugs and I don't even drink hot drinks. Like, what's wrong with me? And I think something which I find, I guess, a little bit, I don't know whether frustrating is the right word. I guess like a little bit like, it's getting me a bit miffed, is because short form content is reigning supreme at the moment. Any YouTuber can tell you that for free. I feel like we are slightly beginning to lose authentic influencers. And this isn't necessarily me critiquing the influencers who follow these really fleeting TikTok trends and make TikToks about every single trend that comes up, because they're just trying to pay their bills at the end of the day. This is more a critique of like the system and the way the algorithm works. Like, it is so difficult to monetize your work. I mean, short form content is notoriously difficult to monetize. So of course you're going to jump on the latest trends because you want to increase your views, your engagement, your follower growth. And this goes for long form content too, by the way. Like, there's a reason why I made a video about The Idol, despite the fact that every single commentary YouTuber in the world also made a video about The Idol. I'm trying to get that money. I think it can just be a bit difficult to tell what these influencers actually like. If they're making TikToks about every single frivolous beauty trend, aesthetic, what do they actually like? These influencers essentially become walking advertisements. And again, I'm not trying to criticize them because it's the fault of a system. Everyone's got to put food on the table. Like, I get it. You know, as I said earlier, short form content is notoriously difficult to monetize. So of course, influencers who do short form content like TikTokers and Instagrams like Instagram influencers are going to be more incentivized to link their TikTok shop, to link their Amazon storefront, because they've got to make money. You know, this is a critique of the system. This is a critique of the shortcomings of short form content. And it's also a critique of late stage capitalism. Like, it's so hard to just get by nowadays, especially with like the soaring cost of living, that being an influencer is a realistic career. And it's one of the very few careers where there is the possibility to make good money. So not only do these beauty trends feel a little bit relentless because it feels like every single influencer is jumping on the trend and making a TikTok about it, but also online magazines, news outlets are now writing articles about TikTok trends. Vogue, Real Simple, Glamour, Who What Wear, Marie Claire, Birdie, Betches, V Magazine, Evening Standard, Grazia, In the Know, Chatelaine, People, Scratch Magazine, Elle, Pop Sugar, Entertainment Tonight have all written articles about blueberry milk nails. And this is what I wanted to focus on next. So back in my day, people used to buy magazines. And these magazines, I'm talking more like sort of fashion magazines, they would release new issues either weekly or fortnightly. Some fashion magazines release issues monthly. But since the early 2010s, magazine sales have been in decline, with people opting to use their phones and their laptops to get their fashion news. And also a lot of people go to influencers for fashion and beauty news. According to Statista, annual print sales of UK consumer magazines have dropped from 820.1 million copies in 2011 to 373.8 million copies in 2018. And multiple magazines have gone strictly digital due to falling sales, such as Company, Now, Reveal, InStyle, and Glamour, just to name a few. And before the inception of social media, the way beauty trends used to work is journalists and staff writers of magazines would attend fashion shows and would go backstage, watch the runways, and would observe and, I guess, study the makeup trends, what trends were repeating over and over again in different runway shows. So things like cool toned eyeshadow, colourful mascara, red lipstick, faux freckles, things like that. They would have a photographer take pictures, and then they would report on the beauty trends in their next issue of the magazine. And I'm pretty sure they would also study celebrities as well, and like what makeup trends celebrities were doing, and also what makeup trends celebrity makeup artists were doing. And I remember this really, really clearly, and I'm getting like nostalgic about it. But I remember they used to have like products that they would recommend to get the look in like all different price ranges. Honestly, such wholesome vibes. And then the general public would choose whether to follow the trends or not. And I actually remember before makeup tutorials on YouTube were popular, I used to follow makeup tutorials from a magazine. And even though I'm like looking back on this, like, OMG, so wholesome. Like, I absolutely have rose tinted glasses on. Like, let's not get it twisted, guys, because fashion magazines were the absolute pits when it came to diversity, when it came to photoshopping. I actually remember when they I think I must have watched this on like Watchdog or something when I was really young, like literally when I was like 11 years old, when they implemented legislation to stop photoshopping or reduce the amount of photoshopping that can be used in makeup ads. Because I remember how absurd mascara ads used to look. Like the eyelashes literally used to look fake. Kim Kardashian. And I remember they had to put their foot down and they had to like literally implement legislation because it started to constitute as false advertising. Now, this next thing I want to talk about, unfortunately, I don't have any proof of this because I don't have a fashion magazine to hand. I did actually order I did actually order an issue of Company magazine on eBay for $5, and it's on its way. So maybe I'll film some clips of it when it arrives, like if it arrives in time by when Kath is editing this video. But I'm sure a lot of these beauty trends and like makeup tutorials in fashion magazines were probably advertorial journalism. If you don't know what advertorial journalism is, it's basically when a company will pay a magazine, a staff writer, a freelance writer, a journalist, to write an article featuring their product. It's basically product placement or like a sponsorship. So if you watched Girls before, in season 3, I think it is, Hannah works for GQ magazine doing advertorial work, and she actually interviews Patti LuPone, and they have to somehow shoehorn into their interview how Stranova has changed Patti LuPone's life. So if you ever read an article where there seems like a really unnatural bit of product placement, it's probably advertorial journalism. And I'm not actually sure how popular this is anymore because I'm pretty sure companies would just rather do influencer marketing. But I don't know. Well, I will see how much of it's advertorial journalism when my issue of Company magazine arrives. So even though I'm looking back on these like old like beauty trend articles in magazines with like rose tinted glasses on, like I'm actually loving life right now, we were still being sold products similarly to how we are sold products on TikTok. I think the only difference is the sheer volume in which TikTok produces trends and aesthetics. Definitely they produce more trends than aesthetics, like for sure. But magazines just don't even match up to that because There are going to be plenty of TikTokers, influencers, trend forecasters who are trying to coin the next romanticized name for a trend that already exists. And you can literally scroll forever until TikTok has to step in and be like, wait, please stop. Please stop. Get some help. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that there's just endless content. And social media has completely rattled the way that beauty trends are born. Rather than it going from runway to magazine celebrity, general public, it now goes like TikTok, like non-professional trendcasters, TikTok influencers, magazine, general public. Or really the general public and the magazine usually clock on at the same time. So rather than the general public learning about beauty trends through magazines are learning about beauty trends through the general public of TikTok users. Like, isn't that so interesting? And not only that, sorry if you can hear a dog barking in the background, it's my neighbor's dog. But I decided to do a little bit of research into like the profit differences between, or like the profit margins rather, between like print magazines and online magazines. And I just want to make it clear, I feel a little bit insecure in my research right now, so take this with a pinch of salt. But as far as I'm aware, I'm pretty sure advertisers were far more willing to pay more money for an advertisement in a print magazine rather than an online magazine. With print magazines, readers are having to physically interact with the advertisement, whether it's physically flipping past it, if it's one of those ones that's sort of jammed in between the magazine, having to physically pull it out, or even better, if it's a sample, you usually peel it back, you smell it, you maybe put it on, like really physically engage with the advert. With an online magazine, it literally takes 2 seconds to scroll past an advertisement. And companies can far better track how a digital advertisement is performing versus an advertisement in a print magazine. They can request the stats for how many reads the article has gotten. They themselves can track the click-through rate, how many people actually bought something by clicking on the advertisement. With a physical magazine, all you can really ask for is how many copies it sold and then track how much of your product has sold since the advertisements have rolled out. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that companies can get away with paying a lot less for digital advertisements because they can keep a lot better track of how that advertisement is performing. A lot of companies, I mean, I don't know whether this is actually true or not, but this happens a lot in the influencer industry. But I'm sure that a lot of companies will approach magazines and say, if it gets X amount of clicks, we will pay you X amount of money. And a lot of companies would much rather invest in influencer marketing because it's proven to be more successful. And I don't know about you guys, but some of these advertisements on digital magazines and like news outlets are so annoying and invasive and actually like affect the user experience that even if it's a product that I'm interested in, I will not click on it out of spite. And I think unfortunately with so many magazines moving from print to digital, it has led to an increase in really repetitive articles. Like, how have 20 different news outlets covered blueberry milk nails, covered light blue nail polish for the summer? And I get why these magazines need to please their advertisers to keep them on board as clients, to keep them advertising on their magazine. They need to generate traffic. It's just a shame that the sort of some of the journalism space, not all of it, but some of it just feels a little bit uncreative at the moment. It feels so repetitive because so many magazines are covering the same romanticized TikTok trends and aesthetics. And I just want to make it clear that I don't blame the magazines for this. The magazines have got to keep their lights on at the end of the day. I also don't blame the writers for this. I assume that a lot of these magazine articles are written by freelance writers. Again, just trying to put food on the table. I'm more critiquing the system. Like, these articles exist solely to generate traffic, so these magazines can keep their lights on, keep paying their writers. But so many articles actually seem like they were written by AI. And again, it's not like a critique. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's got to like do their thing to pay the bills. Like, it's not a critique of the writers at all. But it wouldn't surprise me if this is the direction that a lot of modern journalism would head in, where people are going to start getting ChatGPT to write articles about TikTok trends to generate traffic and get clicks. I know I've said this a million times, but it is a fault of the system. Like, capitalism does not breed innovation. The 20 different blueberry milk nails articles that I read for this video will tell you that for free. And something which I've noticed is that some of these articles that are sort of thrown together and written really quickly to generate clicks and traffic because they want to stay on top of the trends can sometimes miss a lot of like important historical context. So one example of this is with the glazed brownie lips, which were seen on Hailey Bieber. Sorry, I don't know why I sung that. Hailey Bieber. So many articles on this trend failed to report on the origins of this trend and the fact that this trend was worn for time, for literally decades, by Black women, by brown women, by Latina women, and they would often credit Hailey Bieber as like the person that started the trend, and it just feels a little bit like and the thing is that I don't have like a particular proposed like solution for this because I am not in the publishing or the writing industry. I don't know how it works. At first I thought maybe magazines should like hire more staff writers and give them more freedom to write articles that are like interesting and stuff that they're interested in. But obviously if online magazines have such lower profits than print magazines, then they probably can't afford to do that. I think if more time was given to write these articles, there would be more like historical context given. I guess maybe as a reader is to like support freelance writers, support the magazines that you really love, maybe even like support your favorite writers on Substack. I've recently been getting into Substack. If anyone has their favorite Substack writers, let me know. I've been reading After School by Casey Lewis, which I'm really enjoying. Basically, I just love everything pop culture, internet trends, fashion, stuff like that. And whilst we're like on this topic of TikTok beauty trends, I am like, I don't know why I'm surprised by this, but the amount of times that some of these trends can like get into eugenics, racist, anti-Semitic territory. Like the Vanilla Girl aesthetic had some real, racist undertones. And then also, guys, I'm not sure whether you guys have been on Twitter or X, whatever it's called. I'm still calling it Twitter. There is this trend on TikTok of whether you have an angel skull or a witch skull. Like, sorry, the way my anti-Semitism radar, it's going off. Like, we cannot start aestheticizing skulls. Like, I'm scared. I'm terrified. The last thing I wanted to talk about in this video is overconsumption in the beauty industry. As I said earlier, I've spoken about overconsumption on my channel when it comes to fashion, trend cycles, all that stuff. I've also spoken about a little bit about overconsumption in the beauty industry in my excessive makeup collections of the 2010s. And I'm actually surprised that more people don't talk about this. I definitely think that this was spoken a lot when de-influencing was trending on TikTok. And look, I understand that beauty gurus' jobs are to review makeup products and they get so much of it for free. And like, it is their job. Yeah, sure, I get it. And like, I understand that a lot of beauty gurus like give makeup away to family and friends. They donate it to women's shelters. That's great. But also like, I will never get over Emily Noel's massive drawer dedicated just to eyeliner. Like, you literally have 2 eyeballs. Like, you're not... And again, I understand, like, I get it, that their job is to review makeup. But also, like, a lot of these beauty gurus are very open with the fact that they enjoyed collecting makeup. So I feel like it's fair game to critique it a little bit. And look, maybe I am just a miserable commentary YouTuber who's trying to rain on people's parades. And I think it's really easy for me to say as someone who's not into makeup. And like my sort of, I guess like my vice and like the thing that I love collecting is clothes and fashion, like secondhand, slow fashion brands, sustainably made clothing. Like so much so that I've had to put myself on a shopping ban for like 3 months because like it's serious. So I'm a hypocrite. I'm not a perfect person. Like, everyone has their one thing, but also I do think that these makeup collections were aspirational content. And I don't think having a really, really large makeup collection is something to aspire to. And I know that some people are going to argue that owning a lot of makeup is different to owning a lot of clothes, for example, if we're just going to compare the two, because with makeup, it's like multifunctional. You can use it in so many different ways. Clothing can only really be worn in one way. I mean, I don't know, it depends how creative you want to get. But also, some people would argue that collecting makeup is different from collecting clothes because makeup expires. And I know. I don't look at the expiration date on my makeup. I am using an eyeshadow palette that I think I've owned since 2016. I have some historic relics in my makeup bag. I think I have that my oldest piece of makeup is a Barry M, you know, like the green lipstick that like adapts to your lip color. I don't wear it anymore. I keep it as like memorabilia that I've literally had since like 2010. I have the fucking Revlon lip butters still because, you know, vintage. So look, I know a lot of us don't look at the dates on makeup products, but things like liquid products, once they're past their expiration date, they can separate, they can dry up, they can, I hate this word, congeal. Congeal is one of the very few words where I'm like, okay, that word completely matches what it means. So a lot of the time with liquid products, once they expire, you have no other choice but to throw them away. Like they can't be saved. And when it comes to clothes, if you no longer want them, you can give them to friends and family. You can donate them to a charity shop. You can sell them. With makeup, yeah, you can give it to friends and family. I know that women's shelters, a lot of them accept donations of lightly used makeup, but a lot of people don't want to buy used makeup, and like that's completely fair enough. It's not very hygienic. Also, another thing, when you buy an item of clothing and like you try it on and like you don't like it, you can take it back and return it. With makeup in the UK, you cannot return makeup if you don't like it, so it is literally just going to be sitting in your drawer until you chuck it in the bin. But also, I know that a lot of fast fashion places, things that get returned, they don't actually resell it, they just like throw it in landfill. So it's very much one and the same. But if we get onto the actual stats and statistics, with the beauty industry, it produces more than 120 billion units of packaging every year, and only 9% of this plastic waste is recycled. I think around, is it 12%? Yep, 12% is incinerated, and the rest, meaning 79%, either ends up in landfill, in dumps, or just in the natural environment. And a whopping 95% of beauty products packaging is thrown away. And that makes sense. A lot of the little fiddly boxes, a lot of the little applicators that come in makeup, I chuck them away. Also, when you're done using your favorite concealer, your favorite powder, your favorite foundation, your favorite lip gloss, what do you do with the packaging? You throw it away. And a lot of the time, this stuff is made out of plastic. So it's going to be on the world, in the world forever. It's going to be on the planet forever. And yeah, sure, we chuck it in the bin. We take the bins out on a Tuesday. The bin man goes and collects it, and out of sight, out of mind. But I never really think about, where does this stuff actually go? And it ends up in landfill, it ends up in dumps, it ends up as litter. There are a few brands that are dedicated to making plastic-free recyclable packaging, such as Upcircle Beauty, Beauty Kitchen, Neil's Yard Remedies, and BYBI. BB. But it is actually a pretty common misconception that a majority of the waste in the beauty industry is created by packaging. And maybe the majority is, but the waste doesn't end with packaging, unfortunately. A lot of waste is created from testers and free samples, also unsold and returned products. And this one is painstaking to read, but beauty products that expire in warehouses, that expire on shelves, that have never been sold, and they just end up being thrown away. And it's actually quite difficult to estimate how much of people's beauty products end up as waste, because they are just like jotted around all over the place. Like they're either in landfills, they're in dumps, they're litter, they're just gathering dust in people's homes. And you'd be surprised, or not so surprised, the amount of beauty retailers that are not willing to be open with how many of their beauty products go to waste. Arnaud Plas, who is the co-founder and CEO of Prose, estimates that between 20 and 40% of beauty products, depending on their category, they end up as waste. And Pros, alongside with Pure Culture Beauty, actually specialize in personalized, made-to-order beauty products. And yes, made-to-order beauty products would probably be less profitable, but it would absolutely be far less wasteful and would absolutely like reduce the amount of waste produced by the beauty industry. And I just can't believe there's not more brands making an effort to be made-to-order or to make refillable packaging. I think far more brands need to implement like recycling initiatives, like do Mac still do back to Mac? I'm not sure, but things like Back to Mac, where you could bring in 5 MAC lipsticks and get a MAC lipstick for free, and then they like recycle the packaging and reuse it. I definitely think more beauty brands need to implement initiatives like that, because yeah, every single time I use up my favorite lip gloss, the plastic packaging goes straight in the bin. And also just with things like foundation, there's no need for me to be buying a brand new like Charlotte Tilbury glass bottle every single time I use up my foundation, which is every few months or so. There should be like, they should get like little pouches that I can just, and like a little, what's it called, like a funnel to like refill my bottle up with. Charlotte Tilbury, hire me. And whilst we're on the topic of waste and the beauty industry and influencers, I cannot even begin to imagine the amount of waste that is produced by PR packages. Dun dun dun. And look, I'm not stupid, guys. Like, I am a YouTuber, I am a content creator. I understand why brands send out, like beauty brands send out really flashy PR packages. It's eye-catching. An influencer is more likely to make a story about it, to make a post or a TikTok about it, and then it's more likely to catch the eye of the viewer. They're more likely to go on your website and buy the product. La-dee-da, I get it. But it doesn't make it any less wasteful, and I personally would find it far more eye-catching if a beauty brand released or sent out a PR package which was really minimal packaging, minimal waste, and like put in a little card saying the amount of waste that the beauty industry produces and that they've sent this really simple PR packaging to reduce waste. Like, sorry, I would story that. So my conclusion for this video and like my final thoughts is that we've all got to spend less time on TikTok. I've spoken about this on my podcast, but I have actually stopped using TikTok recently. I think it's been about a month since I stopped using TikTok. I go on TikTok to look at the TikToks that my boyfriend has sent me every now and again, and also to like look at my favorite TikTokers. Like, I'll go on their profiles, but I don't ever scroll through my For You page. And I'm not gonna lie, I've never been more out of the loop in my life. I'm gonna have to get Kath to fill me in on like the internet trends and pop culture and discourse that's going on at the moment, because I truly have no idea.
When did it end? Oh, don't enjoy me.
But also the other day when I clicked on the TikTok app, I think I wanted to listen to my saved audios. Love. This TikTok came up where it was like me running from a serial killer if the serial killer was Skepta. And it it really made me laugh. I just wanted to tell you guys about it. But I definitely have been scrolling a lot more on Twitter since, or X, or Twitter. I'm calling it Twitter. I have been scrolling a lot more on Twitter since I stopped using TikTok. And it definitely has made me notice like the difference in the fact that TikTok really is a shopping app above all else. I very rarely feel influenced to buy things whilst using Twitter. But when it comes to TikTok, it's like you can be scrolling through and you see someone using a liquid blusher you like, and they've linked like a discounted multi-pack of 5, and then you buy it, and then now you have 5 liquid blushes that you're absolutely not going to use up before they dry up, which you wouldn't have owned if you hadn't scrolled on TikTok. And again, I get why people link things on their TikTok shop. They get the commission. They're just trying to put food on the table. They're just trying to pay the bills. They're just trying to make money. Like, I understand. Again, it's not like the individuals who are trying to make money is like not the problem here. I just wanted to like finish this video off with like how uncreative some TikTok shop ad TikToks are. God, sorry, that's a tongue twister. Like, I understand linking things on TikTok shop if you're like doing a haul video or if you're doing a makeup tutorial, but if one more person tells me that the Tatcha powder puff is back in stock, I'm going to lose my mind. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a little love, leave a comment on your thoughts, like, subscribe, follow my socials, all that good stuff, follow my podcast, and I'll see you soon for another video. Bye.